The 119th Congress is set to convene today with Republicans in control of the House and Senate for the first time since 2019. Now, despite that, House Republicans have that razor-thin majority, the narrowest in nearly a century, with 219 GOP seats to the Democrats' 215.
That's right. The first official business of the day will be electing that House Speaker. That vote is expected to begin around noon Eastern time. Current Speaker Mike Johnson might have to fight to retain his position. He will need 218 votes to win the Speaker's election, meaning Johnson can't lose more than one GOP vote if every lawmaker in the House shows up and votes. Johnson is confident that he's got the support needed to keep his seat.
The meetings are going well, and I think tomorrow's going to go smoothly.
Well, for his part, President-elect Donald Trump has thrown his support behind Johnson.
I think they'll support Speaker Johnson. I think we're going to have a great time in Washington. I think we're going to get great support. He's the one that can win right now. People like him. Almost everybody likes him. Others are very good, too, but they have 30 or 40 people that don't like him. So that's pretty tough.
Well, let's bring in President and Executive Editor of the Daily Signal, Robert Bluey. Robert, Happy New Year to you, first of all. Do you expect something the opposite of what the president just said to happen today? And do you believe Johnson can garner the support needed to keep his speakership? Because what we just heard from him was almost everybody likes him.
Well, good morning, Joe and Lonnie. Yes, today all eyes are on the House for exactly the reason that you say. Nothing can happen in the House of Representatives until the Speaker vote takes place. And because the margin is so narrow, there are 219 Republicans with one vacancy, and he needs 218 votes. That means that only one Republican can vote against him. And we know already that Thomas Massie, a Republican of Kentucky, has vowed to do so. So I do think that Speaker Johnson feels confident based on the conversations that he's had, the fact that Donald Trump is supporting him, and that has seemed to unlock a number of Republicans who may have been on the fence, who have said that this is the president's choice. Ultimately, he's the one who is going to drive the agenda in Washington, D.C. He needs a Republican leader in the House and a Republican leader in the Senate who are going to implement that agenda and get it through Congress. And so I think there are a lot of Republicans who may have doubts about Speaker Johnson, but are willing to put those aside because of President Trump's support.
You know, Robert, we all remember that ordeal back in 2023 when then Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted from the position, and the vote for the new House Speaker took 3 weeks. Do you think we might see something like that happen again? And if it does drag out like that, what kind of impact does that have on the incoming Trump presidency?
Well, Lonnie, you'll remember that Speaker McCarthy struggled to even get the vote in the first place. There were 15 rounds of balloting in January of 2023. Then he was ousted because he cut a deal with some of the conservatives who wanted to have basically just one vote as a motion to vacate. Speaker Johnson is attempting to change the rules so you would need up to 8 other Republicans to co-sponsor such a motion, so he will not have to face a situation like that. But first, he has to get over this hurdle of being elected, and it could go multiple rounds. He hopes that he'll be solved on the first ballot. All 218 Republicans that he needs would vote for him today at noon. That way you could proceed with the business of setting up the House and starting to implement some of the action items that are on President Trump's agenda. Of course, he doesn't take office until January 20th, but there are things that the House could start to do. And so I do think that there's probably some side deals that Speaker Johnson may be discussing with members to try to get them on board. And there are a number of members, whether it be Andy Harris, who leads the influential Freedom Caucus, or Chip Roy, who's a Republican on the Rules Committee, who have said that they want to see changes. They want to see the House operate differently this Congress than it has in the past.
As we mentioned, Robert, House Republicans will have the narrowest majority in nearly a century, while the GOP currently has 219 seats to the Democrats' 215. That breakdown could actually be 217 to 215 as 2 lawmakers are expected to join the Trump administration. What does this mean for advancing the Trump agenda following the inauguration? And let's say everything runs smoothly today. What happens after that?
Joe, it makes it very difficult to get a lot done. That's why Republicans are putting a lot of their eggs in the basket of reconciliation. And what I mean by that is reconciliation is a process, a budget process that you can use, which allows Republicans to get through big pieces of legislation with just 50 votes in the U.S. Senate, not the usual 60 votes that would require some Democrats to come aboard. And so for a number of President Trump's issues, whether it be immigration, whether it be tax reform, whether it be getting the cost of living down, to more manageable levels for the American people. Those things all will probably go through these big reconciliation bills, and you're absolutely right. They cannot afford to lose more than a couple Republicans. Now, there will be special elections in some of these seats, but those will take weeks, if not months, for those seats to be filled. So, yes, it is a very narrow margin. You probably can't expect many Democrats to come aboard and support a lot of these initiatives that Speaker Johnson would like to push through the House. And that's because we live in a divided country, and in Washington, D.C. in particular, I don't see the Democrats necessarily wanting to support a lot of President Trump's initiatives.
Well, this is a vote a lot of people are going to be watching. Robert Bluey, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Thank you.